While we try to be as helpful as possible, this podcast should not be considered as professional or financial advice. It contains general information only, and you should seek out professional advice for your own personal circumstances before making any financial decisions.
Welcome back, guys. I'm Julia.
And I'm Nick.
And this is the Enthusiast Lab.
That's right.
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Enthusiast Lab. So, today is going to be a loosey-goosey episode. It is wildly...
We were not fucking prepared.
It is wildly unstructured. I feel like I say this every time we kind of come on. This one's wildly unstructured. If you guys are watching, my notes are scribbled on in the car.
While we were driving. To be honest, that's still better than what my handwriting is.
So, long story short, we're going away in March, which is when this episode will probably go out. And we realised that we were a couple of episodes short. So we rushed to try and record some episodes to make sure our podcast doesn't pause while we are away.
Yeah. I'm going to blame this on all you listeners that you guys are not sending me enough fucking content of items to address, so now we have to wing it.
Yeah. So we thought we'd just kind of have a good spit yarn and talk about what's happening in the market. There's lots of ideas that Nick comes up with that he wants to talk about, but they're all like 5-minute segments. And I feel like so many people would complain if we released like a 7-minute episode.
Can you imagine if we did that? Everyone would just be like,
what the fuck?
Is that it? Is this all that Nick can offer now?
Like, considering, you know, all of our episodes are somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes, you know, to go and release a 7-minute episode on a valid topic, it's a bit lackluster.
Yeah, and I don't want to sit there and just talk shit either to try and like fluff it up type of thing.
As we talk shit and fluff up.
No, there's a difference between talking shit and then there's a difference between talking shit. One, there's about tonality. But do you know what I mean? Like, they are important points that need to be discussed, but it's not worthy of an entire episode on its own.
It's not worthy.
It's not worthy of an episode.
So we thought we'd just spit yarn and cross off and tick off a couple of things that we thought would be great to bring onto the pod, but isn't long enough to be its own standalone pod.
Yeah, 100%.
So the first one that Nick said is packages, house and land packages. Where can you build and what can you get for what you build?
Yeah, okay. So the first one about this, right, is for the last probably about 3 years, a lot of people were looking at the options, some of the finance options for first home buyers, which was under the scheme, the first home buyer scheme. And that had a capacity of $600,000 house and land package as a maximum. You went in with 5% and you didn't have any lender's mortgage insurance that you had to pay. That was awesome. 18 months ago, we were getting, you had multiple different options north and south the river in WA, as well as Adelaide, that you could go in with a 4x2 with a decent sized block. Nothing dramatic, but you could do quite a bit. We were doing 4-car garages in certain areas with a 600 budget. Now, it's costing about 700, 750 as an average. Some of them 800, 900K, and the only difference is the cost of land. So, but people's budgets haven't increased enough to justify. So people are still sitting there going, I've got a 550, 600 budget, I want a 4x2. And this is where the problem is. It's the opportunities of where you may or may not be able to afford that are very slim to none now. Land has gone up, we're in 2025, land has gone up $110,000 as an average across Perth in the last 14 months.
Yep.
Right? It's insane. The same block that I was selling was in the 200s, now we were in the 300s. It is a huge jump. Then you've got most of the builders, whether they've passed it all on or not, the average that we are seeing with our builders that we work with and the ones that we keep in contact with is about 45K that went up in 2024 from January to December. So you're looking at $150,000 difference, which is that difference that is now costing them. So all of a sudden it's getting a lot harder. So the dilemma I have is, your 600,000, hey, I've got a budget of 600.
Yeah, let's do a scenario. Let's say, okay, cool. I'm a client, I've come up to you and say, I've got a $600,000 budget.
Yep.
What can you build me? I want either a 3x2 or a 4x2. Where can I build? What can I build? Where can I build?
You've probably, so the first part to that, right, is what's important for you. Is it location or is it the home? You can't get both because unfortunately you're limited with your budget, right?
Yep.
If location is preferable for you, that means we're going to go into closer areas, which means that the land is substantially more expensive than the outer regions. But in doing so, to fit within that type of budget, you're going to have to go on a much more smaller block. And by small, we're talking about those small townhouses, 150, 180, 200 square meter lots. That's it. And then you're trying to fit a 3x2 on that.
Yep.
You want a 4x2, minimum you should be looking at is about a 300, 280, 300 square meter block, right? To get a 3x2 with a theatre or a 4x2. Just because of the size of the home that's required, as well as still complying with the requirements for the council for site coverage.
Yep.
You just can't do it on a 150 square metre lot as a single story.
Well, I would also say, just to jump in here, is there's some areas that you just can't do a 600K package.
No,
like
fuck
you
no.
just can't. So
Yeah.
if we narrow it down, regardless whether it's a 3x2 or 4x2, what kind of areas can we go into to build a home?
Oh, I thought
I'm looking at you because you took a deep breath to start talking. I'm like, yes.
My biggest problem with that is I can't just sit and give you something because the land is what's causing the problem, right? Have I got house designs that I can do a 600 budget? Yes. However, I need a block at 250 to 280,000 maximum to try and do that. So where in these vicinities can I actually get that these days? I can do the outer lighter suburbs. I can do your Bullsbrook. I can do Two Rocks. I can potentially do Eglinton in that outer region. That's coastal and northeast. South region, Mandurah, not a problem. South Yandara, not a problem. Some smaller blocks maybe in the Lakelands if they offer any of the smaller stuff. I remember I saw a couple in Baldivis, which I think they're already sold because everyone's on a fucking waiting list. You need areas like Whitby, Byford, if they release the small product, we're talking 150, 225 square meter lots. You just need a block of land that's sub 300.
Yep.
Right? If you can get a 300 square meter block for 280, I'm sure we can find a 3x2 to try and make it work.
Yep.
If your block is spending, if you're spending 300,000 and your budget is 600, you're allowing 300,000 for the house. That's including any finishings as well as site works. Average site works is between 20 to 25,000 as an average, right? Give or take. Bushfire at another 7. So if you take away simple maths, guys, 300 for the block, right? This is what's the average.
Ryan, for editing purposes, let's just do a little math calculation here. Let's do some math calculation here.
300 for a block of land, 25,000 for site works. That gives you an allowance of 275,000 left in this very tight budget, which you cannot go over with this game for a home. What homes can you build for that? I can probably name 3 houses, no aircon, no flooring, no nothing, that will fit into that budget. If you want homes that have air conditioning, that have stone bench tops, that have some flooring in there, maybe not LED downlights, but things you can do afterwards, you've got to be prepared. The house plan's beginning in the $300, $320, $350, $100,000 to give you a good capacity of 3 4x2s with theatres, etc. The days of having under 300,000 for multiple different options is gone, right? Then it's about the land. There are some areas now, and people are coming out going, "I got a 600 budget. I don't care. I'll do a 2x1." Cool. That house is still going to cost you fucking 260, 280 for the house because you got to build on the boundary. That costs astronomically more in construction. So what you feel like you're saving is actually less than having a bigger block because it's a lot more construction works. So all of a sudden, even though you're doing these very small homes, you didn't have to try and find developers that are selling them. So here and there, they may do so, but you're up against literally 70% of the fucking market in WA because not many people can afford the big packages. So even though you think you're in the position to do a 550, 600 house land package, you're now up against another fucking 10, 20, 30 people in line with you at any given time who might be in a better position than you with a high deposit, coming in with cash, coming with a guarantor. So rather than a lot of people that might be still trying to save and get into that position, they're going to be the last on the list with these developers for preference. So it's very hard. 18 months ago, not a problem. We had 20, 30 suburbs we could do. Now, maybe 5 to 10.
Yep.
Right? And I'm being real here and being honest about this. There are many people still offering, yeah, we can do it in like 20 different suburbs, 600. Fuck off. No, you can't. Most of the builders are in the same positioning now with pricing, right? We went and we just fucking spent the last 6 weeks, me and Julia, literally assessing most of the builders in WA.
Well, that's going to be another thing I'll bring up in a minute, but finish your rant.
Yeah. And we've seen the pricing on where they are, and some of these were really cheap compared to who we originally used, and now they're not. They've all adjusted their pricing because they're realizing, fuck, like you're not getting enough profit margin and you're bleeding money at the end of it. So what do you want? Do you want a decent build house? Do you want something that's just cheap and it's going to take you fucking 2.5 years? Or do you want to build something that is going to be okay quality and that you can actually live in for the next 5 to 10 years?
But it's a little bit further.
But it's a bit further. You get your fucking foot through the door and then you start. And then you can look at what you want. I feel sometimes that a lot of people have seen the opportunities that have been around for the last 3 or 4 years. And now that they're 3 or 4 years later, feel like they should be in the same position to have those available options.
And they don't.
And they don't, because those same houses are $200,000 more, but their budget is still what it was 3 or 4 years ago.
Because their income hasn't increased
100%.
to match the prices that the houses have gone up.
Exactly it, which unfortunately is a rant on its own, but that is the reality of what you're dealing with. And you know, I'm going to think about it. I'll come back to you in 3 months. Not a problem. House also went up another 15 grand.
This episode should be called Rant with Nick.
Rant with Nick. Fucking, we'll change it to that. The thing is, these are the harsh realities of what someone needs to fucking say, right? I don't give a fuck. You don't like what I got to say? Turn the fucking episode off. Someone needs to say this shit. And this is the harsh realities. We've done it on socials and people sit there and go, fuck, man, you are right. So many of our clients that built 2 years ago, if I assess them right now, they can't afford the home that they're currently in because of the situations that have happened. So the biggest thing to take away from this, be prepared to be uncomfortable to be comfortable.
Yep.
That's the reality.
That's a good saying.
But it's true. I may be uncomfortable being a bit more further away, but if it means me being comfortable with my own home, I'll fucking have to do it.
Yep.
If not, I'll stay renting and then maybe I will be okay for the next 2 years renting this place. Or maybe the owner will decide that shit, he's going to make a good profit, he's going to sell. And then I've got a perfect example for that. I've got a client coming in now. Bloke's been renting this place for 4.5 years, right? Killer, off the water. Got a jetty and the whole thing. Owners came to me. Hey, yeah, we told the bloke, we bought it a couple of years ago. He's been renting there, happy days. We're going to demo the whole thing and build something because that's going to be our retirement place. This bloke doesn't even know it's going to happen. We're doing the discussions now. Demolitions, doing a monster garage, small little 2x1 type of scenario. This is their final home. And this bloke's just living it up, thinking that everything's hunky-dory.
Well,
He's
I mean,
going
this
to have a
happened
rude
to...
awakening in fucking 4 months' time when we go, hey, by the way, you're out because we're demolishing the fucking house.
Well, this happened to one of our friends' parents. She's been renting for, 15 years. And the owners decided they're going to take the house back and sell it.
Yep.
And the new buyers want to move in, so they're now scrambling. They've been renting for 15 years thinking this is great. So it's hard.
It's building or buying may not be for everyone. But at the end of the day, you got to look at what's going to offer you the most stability with your situation. If they're doing FIFOs 3-in-1s and they want to rent, not a problem. They're not healed as much. But if your entire life is structured around here, these are the things you got to consider.
Yeah. So the next thing, I'm going to finish your rant here. Let's bring it up a little bit. So
bring it up. I'm not being depressed. I'm just simply someone has to say it.
So bring it up a little bit. This happened obviously a couple of weeks ago because we recorded in advance. So we're recording this at the middle end of Feb, but the rate dropped finally for the first time in 4 years. So let's chat about that and what that means.
Hallelujah. Well, however the fuck you say it. Hallelujah. First one in 4.5, 5 years, right? So everyone has been struggling since. So first off, we had COVID, then the boom. Then we had the rate drops, which was to help, obviously, with people losing jobs and all that. And it was a great time. People got in. And then by 2021, the interest rates started climbing.
Yep. And
it just has not fucking stopped. It's been pretty steady for the last probably 6 to 8 months, I think. And, mid-Feb, the first ever rate cut came in, which was 0.25%.
Yep.
That means that the cash reserve has dropped it, and it looks like by the time we're recording, most of the banks have now passed this on to give some savings.
Yep. What does a cash rate drop mean for consumers?
So what that means, there's two parts to it. Number one, it means that the banks, what the cash rate, so this will have to be through, Maddie needs to come and explain this, right? I can't really give that explanation. But what I can say is when the banks pass on the interest rate reduction, because the cash rate has dropped down, what that means is that gives buyers two different parts. If you currently own a mortgage, that means that you can pass on that little bit of savings in terms of the interest rate being lower. It means that your interest repayments are lower, which in return means that your
mortgage payments are a little bit lower.
Correct. Now, there's two parts to that. You can pass on that saving and pay less, or you can keep your same payments, have the reduced interest, which means that you'll be paying more off your loan. So there are two options there for people that already have a mortgage.
For people who aren't.
For people that aren't, which is the next one, what that means for you guys is the fact that this will increase your borrowing capacity. So because the interest rate is that little bit lower, that means that there's that little bit more, little bit more meat in the deal for when they assess and going, actually, you could add the extra $20 a week in that repayment, which in return means that they're willing to let you lend that little bit more against the income that you've done. This is still taking into account the income hasn't changed. This is just literally the bank, what they assess, and they go, yeah, actually, everything else is the same. Yeah, we'll let you borrow 10, 15, 20 grand more, depending on what it is. Every bank has different calculations.
And all of a sudden, your borrowing capacity has gone up a little bit more, so you can,
which might actually give them the
get
aircon
you
that
just
they
a
want.
little bit more into the market. If you were just shy before and you were saving up, this might just tether you over the edge, and whatever savings you've got just pops further on top of the house.
And people that were right on the tether going, I'm not sure if I really want to be in this area, but now with the extra increase, now you're getting the aircon or the bigger plan. Actually, now it becomes a lot more enticing and a bit more desirable to actually get the ball rolling. And the thing is these are especially people that are in the position now and looking at building and wanting to buy or whatever, and they get into it, they're the ones that are going to reap the most benefits. The reason why is because they've already been assessed on the worst case scenario, right? And then they've already started the process, especially people that are building, right? We've got people that started last year with untiled land. By the time, if this continues and, it continues to drop or even just stabilize, what we already projected as their worst case is no longer going to be that case. They're going to be in a much better position by the time the house is built. So it's a fucking win-win in that situation. So all in all, your borrowing will increase. And if you already got a mortgage, you can either decrease or you can keep the same and pay more off your house, your actual principal. So it's a very good thing. It's a very positive thing. It's about fucking time. And hopefully we can get a couple more from the banks and from the Reserve Bank to drop it that little bit. Will it ever go back to how it was in 2020? Absolutely not. That when the media is sitting there and going to you guys, this is historical lows. That means it hasn't been done in history when shit's been a lot fucking worse than what it was now, and they haven't dropped the rates of interest rates or the Reserve Bank to those levels before. It doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow. What it does mean is we've gone very high, and hopefully we can get a couple of them down to get a bit of breathing space for everyone. That's what we want.
So hopefully there's a couple more rate drops coming up.
Fingers crossed.
It's very much.
I wouldn't be waiting for all of them.
I wouldn't be waiting for them. It's very crystal ball looking at it. It's hopeful, wishful kind of thinking.
Get in when you can.
Hopefully, if this little drop has allowed you to borrow, jump in now before
it changes and goes back up.
Changes. Like take while the sun shines, or whatever the saying is. Don't give me that look.
What?
I don't know. There's a saying. Don't just never mind.
Make hay while the sun shines.
That's the one. Yep. We'll play with that. Let's move on.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. So exciting news for us. We have partnered with another builder for Mr Enthusiast.
Not personal stuff.
No, for Mr Enthusiast. We have partnered with another builder, which is Move Homes. We signed off the contract
Prime
today.
Group.
Yes, part of Prime Group. We are in the talks with one more builder.
For
WA. Which we're hoping to finalise within the next week.
Before we fly away.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to name them yet.
No, not yet.
Okay, we won't name them yet.
We'll discuss that. We've got 2 that we're talking to, but one that we're leaning towards. So we're just waiting to get the final agreements to a point where we're all happy, both us as a business and the builder for themselves. Once we're happy, then we'll sign the agreement, then we can release who it is.
Cool. But exciting news for us. It just opens the doors for a couple more different types of builds for those clients.
Yes.
Move homes. We want to get them onto the podcast, actually.
Yeah, we do.
But
introduce them, who the fuck they are and why we chose them.
Yeah.
Why we, what's the word? The selection. No, the whole selection criteria, why we narrowed it down to them.
Yeah, why we narrowed it down to them and what they offer to clients, really.
Yeah. Yep.
But really exciting stuff for us. We're getting to play with a whole new different variety of plans, a whole new different type of construction methods.
Yep.
So very exciting for us.
I just want to reiterate to everyone, because the question will come up. We still have our current builders.
Yes,
we are
that
a
has
builder
not
broker.
changed.
That hasn't changed. We still have Levita Homes. We still have ProGen. We are adding another 2. And the main reasoning why, because there's going to be many competitors out there talking shit, the main reason why is to provide more diversity for you guys as a client, but also for us as a business to diversify our risk. We don't want to be diversifying too much of our business with one builder. We would rather have multiple for different things. So what Move Homes has compared to what we currently have, they have some similar stuff in the Greenfield Estates, which is the new estates. However, they've got some very different concepts, which is where we're very excited to work with, and different building construction methods, which has been something that we've had quite a lot of discussions with a lot of clients asking, hey, I understand that we're brick, but what about brick and timber? What about brick and steel? Can we do other things? And these guys do offer all of that. They've been around for a very long time, which we're very happy with in terms of they're not a small startup company. We want to make sure we vetted the fuck out of these guys and everyone that we've talked to.
The amount of hours we spent in meetings with them now.
The amount of hours I spent them in meetings, and the amount of hours I spent as a fucking contract lawyer going through agreements, terms and conditions and all that. But we're very happy with what they're willing to offer and what we've come into agreement for our clients. So we're super stoked. Something a bit different. Do you know what I mean? It's same, but different.
Yeah.
No 2 builders are the same, and no 2 builders will offer the same product or the same areas. And that's what it is. We're trying to diversify everything from what we do. We always say that with our business is we start with a few builders, get comfortable, understand the ins and outs and everything. And then once we're comfortable with that, then we look at a few other extras to always provide more options. It's the same as our flooring. We do the garage epoxies, we do that. We don't need to, but giving those options for people, for those 1 or 2 people that we couldn't help before, we might be able to help now. And that's what it's all about.
Well, yeah, as a business, I think this year we've had a lot of discussions at home, and this is the year we're really trying to grow Mr Enthusiast and take those next steps. So
we've had the plans always.
Yeah,
we've always had the
We've always had the dreams and the wants, but I think this is the year where we're finally ready to pull the trigger and action a lot of these business growth items, and tacking on an extra builder or 2 into our panel of builders was definitely one of them.
Yes.
Just to be able to offer the product and all that. I'm not going to repeat all of it again. But yeah, so this is a new step for us. And it's the same for Adelaide. We have been with Levita in Adelaide for
just over 18 months, nearly 2 years.
I'd say almost 2 years by the time this episode comes out.
Yeah.
And everything's going amazing. We are very happy there. But
we've done a couple handovers. We've got more coming in. We've got more going out there. We have learnt, primarily me, because I'm the one mainly going out there. I have learnt so fucking much going into another state and how different it is, and the approaches and the amount of support I've had with the Levita team, from the director through to Grant, through to everyone there, helping me understand how the building works, how everything works and structure. It is a different fucking beast compared to WA, but it's really cool. And we're comfy now. We know what we're looking for and what we're dealing with. A lot of our clients are listening to us. Shout out to a couple of you guys because you have reached out from the podcast, and a lot of on our socials. Currently, their type of projects that they've been presenting to us isn't fitting within the model of what Levita are doing.
Yep.
So what we've decided is we're going to find an alternative builder that will specialize in that more infill demo rebuild in the inner suburbs where currently Levita aren't very comfortable in going for, which is fine. They know what they like. They're going to stick to the lane and smash it with Levita.
It's what you want to see in a builder.
100%. So that's awesome. We have someone to do that, but also we're looking at getting someone that can help accommodate with those other ones that we've unfortunately been seeing. They're going, we can't help you. We can't help you. If we can maybe grab a couple of you guys along the way in the year, that's what it's all about. We are not interested in doing a large amount of volume in Adelaide. This is the biggest thing. With me, it's WA is my baby, right? That is
our bread and butter. It is
our
what
bread
we
and butter.
know.
It's my home. The whole point of Adelaide was to finally open the doors for interstate, right? We've got so much inquiry. We fucking love you guys for it. And we know that how much you guys appreciate what we do from the service and from the designs. So we gave Adelaide as that test shot, and he has done really well for us. That's come out very well financially for us, and we've learnt a lot along the way. So it doesn't all come perfect. There's definitely some highs and lows, but we're now very confident to go, we've got that, let's grab someone else to expand on that, which is what we're currently doing.
So again, not name dropping any builders because we're still in the talks, but watch this space. Hopefully by the time we get back from holiday in April.
Well, I'm flying back over for the final discussions.
That will be the final negotiations. Yeah. We'll be able to lock in another builder. I just went really British there.
I reckon to put a timeline on it, by June, it should be completed.
I was thinking end of May, beginning of June.
Yeah, end of May, June, we'll officially have all the builders on our panels for WA and Adelaide. That's the timeline I've put myself and for us.
Yep.
And that will be basically for as long as we see that the business collaborations are fruitful for both parties.
Yep.
And for our clients. So, but long story short, it's just going to give more options, more opportunities, and hopefully get a couple more bills along the way for everyone.
Definitely. With that said, Melbourne, we're coming. Watch this space. Maybe.
Hold on to your fucking hats.
Maybe 50-50.
Melbourne.
It's very early talks, and I mean, we might be binding ourselves in the butt by releasing it now.
I'll make it work.
But Melbourne, we've had our eye on you for a long time, so...
Melbourne and Queensland, but Melbourne. That's what I'm saying.
We're trying. We're working on it. Watch this space.
Yep.
Give us 6 months and we'll have an update.
Yep. As for Queensland, we need to work something out. There's something there as well. But
one state at a time.
One state at a time.
So
we don't want to spread ourselves too thin because it is me. I'll be the one flying. It's not like Julie's going to be flying and you're going to be meeting Julie to sell a home. It will be me. So I need to be able to make sure that we juggle it right. But I'll also be coming to Melbourne this year. I'm going to put it on the fucking podcast. And Julie's going to make sure that I do it. I'll be coming Melbourne at least once or twice. Hopefully once with the Falcon as well.
Yes, we'll try and organise a flyover and we'll announce when we're coming over.
Yep. I want to see some of you fucking legends.
Really, that's kind of all we've had. The last thing that we had on here was what do you want / need?
Yes. Okay. So this really comes into the whole rant that I had before.
Welcome back to the Rant with Nick.
Welcome to the Rant with Nick. Not in regards to this whole, I want a 600 home. I want, what I wanted to talk about, right? And I'm going to get fucking serious about this.
Oh, Nick's back and buckling down.
So the main thing I want to talk about with you guys, right, is we need to figure out what is it that you actually want versus what do you actually need. When you're coming in, and this is a reality, coming in with a 550, 650 budget is a very small budget in this current market, right? 700. It's going to open doors, but you're not going to sit there and go, I want this, I want that, I want this, because by the time you blink, you're at $900,000 million, right? So the biggest thing, especially with first-home buyers that I'm seeing, a lot of you legends are listening to our episodes and getting a lot more information and are a lot more prepared. But the biggest thing is to ask yourselves, what is it like, I'm renting. What is driving you to want to build? What is driving you to buy a home? Is it, I don't like my fucking situation, I just need to get out and I need to get into something? Is it, I want to start and get into the property ladder before I physically cannot fucking financially afford it anymore? So I want to get priced out the market, and if my parents don't pass away and give me an inheritance, I'm not going to have a fucking home. These are the harsh questions you got to ask yourself. What does your situation look like? Are you actually doing the best that you can for yourself? Are you sitting there and busting holes, smashing full-time hours? Are you taking days off? Are you pissing away money in lieu afterpays or menu log food and shit like that, and taking out simple loans and just going, if I can get a home, that's basically, or are you trying to do everything in your power to really get yourself into that position? Because these are the hard questions that you now need to start asking yourself, and to work out a plan for yourself about where you're going to be in the next 5 years. And unfortunately, it's not something that everyone wants someone to be talking about or to have those conversations. But unfortunately, with how hard it's starting to become to build a home and to buy a home, you got to start asking these questions to yourself earlier, and to start preparing yourself and to put yourself into that perfect position where the bank will consider lending you a loan. Because at the end of the day, you're not entitled to shit. You need to work for it, and the banks are making it harder and harder to get there.
I will jump in and say one thing here. Even if you're not in a position now, we've said this time and time again through episodes.
Yeah.
Book in an appointment. If it's something that's on your mind, if you're thinking about building a home, if you're thinking about buying a home, jump in for an appointment,
100%.
Have a chat, get your finances assessed so you know where you stand. You don't know what you can borrow until you get your finances assessed, and have someone tell you, you can borrow X amount right now. If you do X, Y, Z, then you'll be able to borrow this amount, and this will get you into the property kind of realm where you can purchase something.
Absolutely. And that's, we actually are starting to see that, which is really awesome. And I think we're just going to continue pushing that message.
Just hammer the message down.
Yeah, just continue pushing that message out there. It's okay, even if you think you're not in the right area, in the right position. If you're working and you're motivated to wanting to do something, reach out. You're not wasting my time, because if you've walked in and walked out with more info than what you started, and you have a plan of attack, I've done my job. It's all good. Sometimes it's better to hear from myself. In my opinion, I'd rather hear from myself rather than from your parents or from your mates who fucking did it 5 years ago and think they know everything. We'll tell you straight up what benefits there are from grants, from rebates, from fucking options, what the plan of attack is. Even banks, man. Banks are assessing based on what's beneficial for them. We've got access to over 40 different banks with our broker. So she's looking at the situation, not even just what it is right now, what's it going to be in 6 months or 12 months time, and creating that plan. And we've done that a lot for a few of our clients. Yeah. And if we didn't do that, they weren't going to actually build a home. And they started the building process. Yeah. And that's still 6 months away, because the land's 8 months away. So
we had clients come see us. It was 100%. Actually a recent sign up. They came back, and after 2 years, they came in for a chat 2 years ago, and we said, sorry guys, you need to bump up your savings. You need to do this, this, and this. Yep. And they said, okay, cool. We'll come back when we're ready. And they reached out 2 years later down the track, and they said, hey, Nick, remember us? We're finally ready. And we went, oh my God.
Yeah, I saw it, and I was like, holy shit. And the thing is, yes, the house that we initially were aiming for wasn't viable anymore due to the budget. But from everyone laughing at them and going, you can't afford shit, to now they've started the building process and they're on the way to owning a home. This is what it's all about. Would I love everyone to come back? 100%. Do you know what I mean? I'll help everyone. That'll be great. But the reality is if you just have that raw, unfiltered information and told straight up to you going, you can't afford it, but this is what you need to do, ball's in your court. I'm not your dad. Julie's not your mum. We're not your parents to sit there and monitor every single bit of your process. But if you've got the right guidance, then the rest is up to you about how much you really want to own a home and whether or not you're going to follow those steps. If you follow what we tell you to do, you'll get it done. Time and time again. For the last fucking 8 years, everyone that has followed our process has owned a home.
Yep.
They may not have everything that they want.
Might not be the dream home.
Hey, look, it might not be the dream. Everyone wants a big garage or wants a big home, but they still got into a home. They still made fucking money out of it, and now they're looking at their next home.
I was going to say, so many of our clients, they may have not gotten their dream home or their dream 6-car garage. They got a 3-car. Yeah. And they've all sat down and came back to us a couple years later. They all, come to our client events. And they sit down, they go, hey, Nick, think about the next one now. I want a bigger garage.
Yeah, done, say less.
Realistically, they're in a better borrowing capacity because they can either use the equity out of their home, or they can sell and use that as as their deposit. They're in a much better borrowing position because they started with something smaller that's now grown equity.
Absolutely.
And now a couple of years down the track, they are ready to rumble and get into that dream home, into that
100%.
bigger home, into that, whatever they want.
I'm going to do a shout out for one client in particular, Kyra and Andy.
Absolutely.
Kyra. I've known Kyra now for 4 or 5 years. Built her first house, whatever happened. Built the second one for her and her partner, Andy. And now we've utilised the equity from that one to build their third home, which is a monster 4-car garage hoist section, which is literally designed for Andy for his fucking
golf simulator.
The house design is bang on to what Kyra wanted. She was very specific, wanted a big 600 square block. Didn't pay a fucking cent.
Because it's all out of the equity.
100%. Pulled it all out of the equity and got it all done. And I've seen them both grow as a couple and as individuals, and now they're engaged and everything. It's just like seeing them from one point, helped them out, busted it, went to the next one, built it up, now onto the third one, laughing, man. And that's they're a very good example I like to use of situations have changed. I've seen them change their jobs multiple times over the years.
Yep.
And it's always somewhere worse, somewhere a lot better in income. And it just built up and built up. But they were very driven individuals. They were very driven what they wanted. Wasn't very happy with where the location was at first. Started looking at the price, started looking at the location, and then sat there and went, this is actually what we want.
Yep.
Boom, pulled the trigger and got it done. That can be so many people.
Yeah.
If they want it.
I mean, again, they don't have to constantly come back to us.
No.
Kyra and Andy, like Mr Enthusiast, loyal, all sorts.
Fucking OGs.
OG cult members.
They experienced before Mr Enthusiast was like a
They
real
did.
thing.
They have seen us in all stages of business development.
Of life and business. They've seen us from when I used to just catch up for a beer. And
At Slabdown?
At Slabdown. But even then, we were still doing the paintings. We were still doing the paintings back then. Yeah, we did.
No, Kyra did not receive a painting.
No, on the first one, no, because they sold.
No, she didn't get a painting because back then we were giving the bottle of wine with a hammer attached to it.
No, she had the painting.
She had a painting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she had the painting. Get it for herself.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Okay, so they've seen us grow in all stages of life where we used to be hand painting the paintings before we really had branding to our name. And then the second time she built with Andy.
That was with Mr. E. Got that all sorted, laughing, used the equity, and now building something
They were
bigger.
getting construction run updates,
Yes.
but now they're getting the full force of our community and construction run and admin updates and all the things.
They've come to a few, and they've come to quite a few of our events and everything. So they've been able to take advantage along the way. But yeah, it's what I'm trying to get at with a lot of the listeners and shit. It's the opportunities are there. It is definitely a lot harder. If it was easy, everyone would have it, right? That's the reality of building and owning a home. If it was easy, every fucker would do it. There is going to be some challenges along the way. How much are you prepared to work through to have your own place versus you just simply want to have it gifted to you on a golden platter? That's not what building is, and that's not what owning a home is. Unfortunately, it's much harder now, and that's the reality.
And ask yourself the question, why do you want a home, and what is your needs versus your wants, and let us work through that with you to achieve the best result possible for you.
Do you need a 3x2? Do you need a 4x2? Or do you want a 4x2? But I'm okay with a 3x2. Okay, let's work on the 4x2, but if we can't afford it and we get a 3x2, it's not the end of the world.
It's not the deal breaker.
Exactly. So those are the things, because I think a lot of people are blurring those lines because they're saying, their mate's got a 4x2 with a theatre, this and that, and they only built, 12 months ago. It's 150K difference to do the same thing.
Yep.
And that's the difference of a 4x2 or a 3x2 in many instances. But those are my rants for today. I think we're going to do it as Rant with Nick episode. Well, hopefully it's actually given people a lot of insight on a few things. Like it's a good little mixture of discussions about a few things, I think.
I don't know how much people are going to learn from this, but you know what? I think you guys get a good little insight into, I guess, what's happening in our brain, what's happening on our side of the market from our lens. You get a little bit of a teaser for what Mr Enthusiast is doing and growing. If you guys are, real Mr Enthusiast loyalists, you guys will be keen to hear this
100%.
update because it hasn't been released anywhere other than on this pod at the moment.
Yep. So it's only the people that listen to this will actually get it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it'll be interesting to see what the aftermath of this is over a 6 to 12 month period.
Yeah, very much so. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the episode. A bit of a different take, a bit less structured.
Bit more tea.
Yeah, a little bit more tea. Pour the tea. You guys can plug in Mr Enthusiast. You can find us, I don't have my list, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google.
Yes.
Spot
on. Seven different.
Yes.
If you can't find us on any of those 7, brother. You need to learn how to.
If you can leave a review or rating, that would be amazing. Hit that follow or subscribe button.
Click us a message and let us know what your thoughts are. If you like these type of
It really
rants.
helps us in the back end.
Yes, it does.
Flick us a message with what you guys want to hear. We're starting to run out of content.
Yeah, I really don't want to stop the episodes.
Yep.
But if people aren't going to start, I'm going to call it out. If people don't start actually giving us some good topics, I think we basically covered everything. And I don't want to stop the episodes, but I don't also want to be repeating ourselves.
Yeah, I don't want to rinse and repeat things
there are
constantly.
some things that we can obviously touch more over on and stuff like that. We are, and there are many of our clients that listen and stuff. Fucking reach out and come in for an episode as well. People love listening to them. Stop being so shy and actually come in, because otherwise, if we run out of too much content, honestly, we're just going to sit and just put it on pause for a while.
Yep.
And I don't want to do that. So help us help you.
Help
us help you. That's it.
And just remember, guys, we're not here
To fuck spiders.
fucking oath.
See yous.
Bye.